Come on now. Y'all already know what this is. First things first. God did this. Don't get mad with us. I'm your humble host, your man, your myth, your legend, Eric Knight. And we got the one man and the only man that's going to check you into the Heartbreak Hotel, Heartbreak Prince himself. Man, look, not going to lie. This week has been a little bit rushed. Some points were a little underwhelming, but some could say this was not bad. So let's kick it off with the 2 hours and 30 minutes of fire on Monday Night Raw, baby. I ain't gonna lie, man. Raw actually was a pretty good show. Not gonna lie, I'd be capping if I said the whole show was bad, but it had a lot of good surprises, and by that, we'll talk about that. Because they kicked it off with good old, EO Sky coming out. Said, she wants to fight a champion, that she wants to fight somebody that she knows is the best. Now, her saying that, she calls out Rhea, or really, Rhea comes out, and she says that she wants to fight the best. Now, that being said, Io, you have beaten Rhea before, okay? But Rhea says that, whatever decision you make, and since this is the decision that you wanted to make, whatever happens, this is what you wanted. So now we are looking at Io Sky going up against Rhea Ripley at Evolution. Ah, man, I'm not gonna lie. I was hoping that it was gonna be Io and Oscar, but this is what we're getting at Evolution. So again, anything Io Sky is in should be a banger. Then we flash forward to what Dirty Dom, man. Now look, Dirty Dom tells AJ, look, I still am not medically cleared. And here's my doctor's note. AJ Styles pulls out the glasses, AJ Styles trying to show his age a little bit. And he looks at it, grabs the paper, and said, let me see this. Okay. All right. And he said, yep, still says you're a punk ass. Good old AJ Styles, man. And honestly, we're still kind of waiting to see what happens next with this. But we'll see, man. Dirty Dom was really selling this injury. Then we flash forward to the Judgment Day going up against the New Day. And honestly, what was crazy, the New Day had whole new gear with the thank God on the back. I really love that. But Finn and now JD McDonough are now the new tag team champions. And honestly, looked pretty good. A great match. It was a banger. But then we flash forward to the Judgment Day backstage. Now at this point, Roxanne has legitimately took Liv's title. Not like taking it, but pretty much is gonna happen. And at this point, Finn is trying to convince everybody that we need to keep Roxanne on the team. Why? Because now it keeps everybody with goals. And he said, let's all do a vote. Dom says, well, let me call Liv. He said, nah, man. Liv's going to be proud of you either way. So come on, let's just make this decision now. And if y'all notice in the back, on the WWE 2K25, they had all five of the members. Now, that being the five, being Raquel, Finn, JD, Dirty Dom, and then Roxanne Perez was in the middle of that. So after a while, Roxanne says, look, I'm doing everything that I can to keep the gold here. They finally convince Raquel. Raquel tells Roxanne, well, you better hold up your end, Chiquita. So we'll see what happens with this. And this is looking pretty interesting. Then we flash forward. Of course, Gunther cutting the promo. So he don't care if it's Gunther. I mean, he doesn't care if it's Oldberg. He's going to take Oldberg down. He tells Seth, you can come out and keep waiting. Seth tells him, like, look, you know what my plan is. You know what I'm here to do. And you know why I'm out here. But then who comes out? Good old CM Punk. on a revenge at this point, trying to beat the hell out of Seth. And why is that? Because you know what happened with him and Night of Champions. He was the reason why he didn't win. All of this is going on. So now CM Punk is beating the hell out of Seth. Seth escapes. And then Gunther is right there by CM Punk. And CM Punk pushes Gunther to the ground. I don't like this for Gunther at all. But then, after Seth escapes into the crowd, who comes behind him is ready? Yeah, yeah, yeah. That man, LA Knight, was starting to beat the hell out of him right in the concession stands to the point where Seth takes off running again. So see what happens with that. Then we flash forward to the good old match with Lyra Valkyria and Bailey, man. Now, look, this ended in a draw, okay? To the point where I'm pretty sure we are going to be seeing Bailey versus Lyra versus Becky at Evolution, or maybe at SummerSlam. Either way, that match is going to be a banger. Then we flash forward to American Made. Okay, they were getting interviewed, and all of a sudden, they were asked like, "What are the new steps for Chad Gable since his injury?" And then all of a sudden, we see El Grande Americano. Now, if y'all know body languages or body shapes, pause, you know this ain't the same El Grande Americano. This is a new version, or maybe a 2.0 of El Grande Americano. To the point where everybody, including Ivy now, was shocked. And look at the Creed brothers. They couldn't even imagine this. It was insane. But right after that, what happens? Karrion Cross attacks Sami Zayn in the midst of him about to just get interviewed. And honestly, this looked really good. And the crowd popped for Karrion Cross, even to the point where they were just excited to see him attacking Sami. Now, this was really good to see. Then we flash forward to this banger of a hard-hitting match with Rusev and Sheamus, man. I mean, this was legit a banger. You want to talk about hard-hitting? You want to talk about a type of strong style that I don't think is really shown that much, but this is almost like the League of Nations just going back at each other. And this was a really banger of a match, man. I mean, 10 out of 10. Go ahead, Rusev. You did your thing. Then we flash forward to CM Punk and LA Knight backstage. CM Punk saying he doesn't give a damn what he has to do. This is what he's first saying before he's seen LA Knight. And then he told LA Knight, look, I understand you got your whole situation with Seth, but I don't need your help. He said, look, let me tell you something. I don't care what you're saying. He said, you can have Seth 6 days a week from all I'm concerned, but when I just talked to Adam Pearce, it's going to be me and Seth Rollins Saturday night's main event. Yeah, man, and that crowd popped for my man. Then we flash forward to the main event with Sami Zayn and Penta going up against Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. Okay, Tsunami and the Missile Man himself. Look, this was a bang of a match. Braun Breaker getting the pin and getting the dub over Sammy, and then to the point when they start attacking Sammy and Penta. But who comes out? The Yeet Man himself, Jay Uso. Well, some people say Crash Out Jay came out, attacked every single one of these. I mean, those chair shots was perfect. Okay, perfect. To the point where I said, you know what, Jay? You're looking good without the title, and this is good for you. And this is the finish right here. So, I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm not gonna lie. When we talk about some of the stuff that happened on Monday Night Raw, okay, a few things. First thing, okay. Think for Io Sky to say that she wanted to beat the best and you literally picked Rhea. Remember, Io, you beat Rhea about a month and a half before WrestleMania. That's already been proven. If you want to beat the best, pick Asuka. Granted, she didn't win the Queen of the Ring. So what are we doing here, man? Man, I'm not gonna lie. That was just one thing that kind of killed me with that. I really wanted to see Asuka and Io, and I'm hoping if they're not gonna do it for Evolution, please give us the banger at SummerSlam. I am asking. I'm almost begging to see these two great women that have faced in Japan, that have competed in Japan. Please, I feel we never see two Japanese wrestlers, let alone two Japanese women going at it in the ring, man. I mean, that can be a huge banger. So I'm hoping they push for something like that, but they dangled that little carrot a while ago, and we just didn't really see much with that. Next thing, man. Honestly, El Grande Americano. I'm not gonna cap, bro. This is hilarious to me. And this is something we talked about, a while back, even on Exclusive Minds, when we were just saying how many times when Chad Gable was involved, you're seeing Ludwig Kaiser in the background, you're seeing him kind of involved, and even though he wasn't doing anything, but you're seeing that he was kind of just lingering in the background. So this is a little interesting with Ludwig. I'm sorry, with El Grande Americano. This is good. No, I really like what they're doing with this. It's keeping the character going, and I'm really excited to see what they do because I really want to see El Grande Americano back in the ring and just to see if maybe his wrestling styles have changed. So that's going to be pretty interesting. Lyra and Bailey. I think with these two women here, man, they are killing it with these matches, and I'm really loving the storyline with this. To the point where we're seeing Lyra really show more of that aggressive side, more of the point where she's just like, nah, I was the first Intercontinental Women's Champion. I said, you know what, Lyra, talk your ish. Let Bailey know about that. Because some people act like they don't remember. But you know what? We're seeing another side of Lyra more and more, and I'm loving this, man. I really am. And then honestly, the Judgment Day. I'm telling you right now, Finn, you ain't slick. You ain't slick, boy. Look at that smile on your face, man. Look, you know what you're doing. You know what you're trying to do. You are to the point where you are the man that is running this faction. Okay? We know what you're doing. To hell with Liv. That's what you pretty much saying. It's all about Finn, because when you listen to Finn, you win. And I like what they're doing with this, man. I can't wait to see how much of this story progresses. And then last thing, man, my man Karrion Cross, the pop he got backstage for just attacking Sami Zayn. Like this is good for Karrion, man. Like even though he lost not at Champions, they are still making him look good with the loss. Okay. For his character, this definitely works. You're just a bitter guy trying to beat the hell out of Sammy. And he was still telling Sammy, say it, Sammy, say it. I said, you know what? I'm not mad about my man Carey, man. He did his job. He did well, and I really enjoyed. I think I really did like Raw a whole lot. A lot of surprises, a lot of banger matches. I don't think there was really a bad match. And of course, my man LA Knight doing what he does best, man. Talking his ish to CM Punk. I said, yeah, you do that. You do that, man. I think when we look at LA Knight, man, I think he really is on a rise to possibly being that guy to get that title soon. I'm hoping. I'm hoping. Please. Please. Okay. Last thing, and I'm gonna let you go, Heartbreak Prince. I don't like how y'all made my man Gunther look. Why you got CM Punk pushing this man Gunther to the ground like he's weak? What is this? Okay. He just said all the stuff about Goldberg. You think this looks good for his momentum for Saturday night's main event getting pushed by Punk? Y'all really sat there and thought, you know what, this could work. This looks good. No. If anything, I would have rather y'all had Gunther leave the ring. Okay, just I'm not involved. I would have rather that. Why y'all got my man Gunther looking like this? Come on. It's insane and it's damn near criminal. Heartbreak Prince, what are your thoughts, man? What you think?
Yeah, Raw was really good this week. They had a lot of good matches on it. Now, it's like it's one of these things where the episode of Raw itself was really good as far as match quality and all of that type of stuff. But there was a few little things in here that still bothered me about how some of the stories progressed or went. Case in point is with Judgment Day beating the New Day for the tag team titles. Now, on the one hand, you have the Judgment Day, all donned in gold. As far as having the tag team division on lock for the most part, and then you have Dirty Dom with the Intercontinental Championship. But at the same time, I'm like, well, we didn't even do much with the New Day and their whole run with the tag titles because we rarely saw them like have title defenses. I mean, they had a couple, but nothing crazy, no big storyline with them. And then we've changed the tag team titles again. So like this is what the third or fourth time this year that we've had the tag team titles change. Was it War Raiders to New Day,
New Day.
to Judgment Day, and right before War Raiders, I'm missing who had them right. Oh no, New Judgment Day had them right. Then they
They
lost
did,
them to
yep.
lost to the War Raiders. War Raiders lost them to New Day, and New Day lost them back
To the Judgment Day, yeah.
to the Judgment Day, and and so I don't know what's going on where we just can't get a tag team like build up like a team that just holds the titles for a while, at least on Raw. They've been doing okay with SmackDown, but I still think even then when we get to that, the Profits they should be featured more as your tag team champions and have more storylines centered around that, like a better push. But the Judgment Day, seeing them in gold, it's cool on that aspect in the sense that the Judgment Day, everybody has a title. But at the same time, I also think this isn't good for Finn because Finn is still going to be stuck in the abyss of Judgment Day for a little longer. But the match that they put on with New Day was top notch. I mean, the crowd was in it. I was into it. It was a really good match. So hey, I'm still happy for Finn, JD McDonough, and the Judgment Day. As our boy Jay talked about last week, every time around the summer, they always seem to give the New Day the Judgment Day some new push. And so it looks like they're doing that now. The next thing that I kind of want to touch on just a little bit was Gunther this week came out on fire. Like he was firing on all cylinders. And this was like, okay, this second reign with Gunther is going to be even better because of the fact that, he's kind of had his first run. He's got the title back. He's coming out. He's cutting really good promos. He's got the match with Oberg that I know that they're having him involved in. But looking past that, it looks like Gunther's going to be cooking, and then of course we get to CM Punk and Seth Rollins thing. What I also like is how they keep including LA Knight in this, and I can really see an LA Knight versus Gunther match taking place because I just wholeheartedly believe that Seth is not going to use his Money in the Bank on Gunther. Is going to be somewhere in that John Cena, CM Punk, Randy Orton, somewhere in that mix. I think he's going for the undisputed title. That, to me, I just think that makes sense, which leaves that space for an LA Knight to move over to Raw and kind of be on that brand and maybe be the champion, as well as a Sami Zayn. And then Karrion Kross. I don't know why, and what it's going to take for creative to really just accept the fact that the fans really like Karrion Kross and they really want Karrion Kross to be featured more on television in matches. I know they keep doing the backstage segments with Karrion Kross, and that's fine, but you're getting a 30-second, clip or a 30-second piece with him in it. Where is the actual push? Like the fans have chosen Karrion Kross. Where is the actual getting him into storylines and out there? Because he could be another factor in this championship title picture. Based on how the fans have received Karrion Kross and how much they want him. So I'm really interested in seeing when creative and management there will kind of get off of whatever high horse they're on about Karrion Kross and not really wanting to push him because it seems like he's kind of self-made in the sense that, the little stuff that they've given him, he has run with it and the fans have really enjoyed it and really want Karrion Kross to be featured more and to have more things centered around him. Then lastly, El Grande Americano. I love the fact that we got a sighting of El Grande Americano this week. I think it proves that El Grande Americano is not Chad Gable, which we have been saying for forever now. I don't know why people don't seem to believe us or believe that, but this was very, like, the proof is in the pudding right here. This is very evident that they're not the same person. We saw Chad Gable. I'm dead serious. We saw Chad Gable in a cast. This El Grande Americano is not wearing a cast. He's chiseled, in different ways from the other way we've seen El Grande Americano. Pause. But they're not the same person. And I love it. I love the fact that we had the evidence. We have the proof right here. And so I think this is great, man. I think it's great stuff. And I can't wait to see what El Grande Americano does. I really can't, and I hope he's featured somewhere in that Intercontinental Championship picture. But we'll see.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I wholeheartedly believe I'm with you, man. Like we've been telling y'all for the longest that Chad Gable is not El Grande Americano.
Yeah.
And now that we've
Yeah.
seen this, like, hey, right there. Come on, look at this man. This is not Chad Gable. It's obvious. I mean, again, we've told y'all a
Uh-huh.
few times. Y'all didn't want to listen.
Y'all got to
Michael
stop
Cole
capping
kept trying to frame him all the time.
the whole
Now look at
time.
you, Mike.
Yep.
Now look at you. You look and sound crazy.
Yep.
And I'm just glad that it's proven that it is not Chad Gable.
Yeah. Yeah. Get well soon, Chad.
Yeah, man. Look, we need you to come back soon, man, because honestly, it ain't the same without you, man. We need you. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh man. But we talked about some of the great things with Monday Night Raw. Now it's time to talk about my man Shawn Michaels cooking it up with NXT, baby. Not gonna lie, man. NXT, as always, I'll be capping if I ain't tell the chef himself that Shawn was not cooking up this week, because he really did. Really did. Because we kicked it off. First of all, my man Trick Willie Wonka, okay, was on commentary. Okay. But we had Wesley and Joe Hendry. Okay, Joe Hendry getting the dub over Wesley. Now, the way how this happened. Okay, Wesley was doing his thing out there, doing what he had to do against Joe Hendry. Trick going crazy on the commentary, him and Booker, Booker giving him that love. And what was crazy is that part of High Rise started to try to distract Joe Hendry. Good old Mike Santana came out and evened up the odds, actually in that way helping Joe Hendry getting that actual even dub on Wesley. Now, this was really good. Then we flash forward to, man, I don't know what the hell is going on with the Don, man. The Don, first of all, talking to Luca. Luca was saying, all this stuff. I've been here for you. I've been doing all this stuff for you. I've been trying to help you. I've been trying to prove myself. And of course, Stacks comes out. Stacks says, thanks, congratulations. I appreciate it, Luca. Luca tells Stacks, shut up, man. You are not part of the family. And then to the point where Don says, yeah, that's right, Stacks. This got nothing. And then Luca punches Don. Don's on the floor. Stacks gets behind Luca, thinking everything's all sweet and dandy. And then Luca punches Stacks. And then this is how we're looking, man. I don't know what the heck is going on with Luca. Man, just do what you got to do, bro, at this point. Then we flash forward to Oba, the ruler. Look, with Oba, he was already saying that he, was saying to, Inamura that he's not sure if he has the tenacity, if he has the drive. And he said it doesn't matter, with all these the other titles changing hands, but the results stay the same when it comes to Oba Femi. And then Amore comes up with Josh Briggs and tell him that he has the tenacity, he has the will, he has everything that Oba is looking for to face him at the Great American Bash. We'll see what happens with that. Then we flash forward to Miles Bourne beating Lexus King. Now, look, this was actually a really good match, and this is showing more for Miles Bourne that he doesn't need the no quarter catch crew. That he can do this all on his own, and he's legitimately showing that. Man, when I tell you the crowd popped for this man, it was great. Lexus King, I don't know what they got you doing, man, but we need something better for you, bro. It's just, yeah, it's looking crazy. Then we flash forward to Laney Reed. Okay, look, Laney Reed going up against Thea Hale. Now, a couple of times, Thea Hale had a few times where she almost won the match, and even to the point where Laney Reed had a dirty pin the first time, and the ref caught it. Then she kind of got a dirty pin the second time. Now, to be honest, I didn't even know Laney Reed was this kind of woman. I didn't know she was doing dirty pins like this, but Not bad on her. And this looked good. And honestly, the crowd didn't even give a damn. They liked it either way. I don't know, man. But it's looking good for her. Then we flash forward. Ooh, now this was interesting with Tatum Paxley and Izzy Dane going up against Sol Ruka and Zarya. Now, look, with the interesting thing at one point in the match, to where Izzy was in the ring with Zarya and she was trying to tag Tatum. Tatum was nowhere to be found at the moment. But then when Zarya tried to literally spear Izzy Dane, who comes running out? Tatum Paxley comes out and pushes Izzy Dane out of the way, and Zarya spears Sol. And then Izzy hits her finisher, gets the 1, 2, 3, and now we are out here just pushing Tatum Paxley to the moon. That this is really her new family, the Culling. Then we flash forward to backstage to where the Pebble, good old Ava, is telling the Culling, and especially to Izzy Dane, that with everything going on, she now has a North American title opportunity against Sol Ruka. Tatum Paxley was happy, and then all of a sudden, Hank and Tank come up and they frame the rest of the Culling for the attackings. They said, "Oh yeah, the black chair. Who else would it be?" Well, I mean, makes sense. It is Sean Spears is the chairman. Okay. So now they also have a tag team opportunity for those titles. And honestly, we could be looking at the Culling having almost all the gold. Then we flash forward to Chase U. Now, Chase U, this was interesting from Andre Chase, okay? You know, he apologized to the university and even told my mans over here that, look, you got a match next week to prove yourself, to show that what I've been teaching you and what you've been teaching me to succeed. And this is very interesting, almost like a touching moment. It's interesting. Then we flash forward to good old State and Dark State, man. Look, after their whole thing with them, you know, appearing on TNA Impact, what they're saying is they are doing everything that they can to make NXT the dominant brand. They're doing everything that they can to make sure that NXT is on top. And that's what it's going to look like. And it's going to continue if Dark State is in control of that. That was interesting. I ain't gonna lie, my man Saquon, of course, he's crazy on the mic, and he's very intriguing. And honestly, Deion Brooks, you know what? Ever since I said what I said about you, man, you are getting better with this, and I'm proud of you, man. This is looking all right. We flash forward to Ricky Saints with Ethan Page. Oh man, and these guys, the Vanity Project. Look, I'm not gonna lie, this was interesting. But at this point, Ricky Saints has to go through a whole gauntlet match with all the rest of the Vanity Project in order to get to Ethan Page for his North American title. Now, that being said, we already know this is probably going to push for everything we know from that gauntlet match to be a match set for the Great American Bash on Saturday. So this is going to be interesting. But of course, Ricky Saints said he didn't care if he has to go through the rest of the peanut gallery. He's going to do what he has to do to get that title back. Good old Ricky, man. Love those references. Then we flash forward to Joe Hendry and Mike Santana. Now, Mike Santana told Joe Hendry, look, I understand, you know, I did what I did for TNA and I did what I did to help you. But at Slammiversary, I'm doing everything that I can to make sure that I'm the one that's going to be going up against Trick to get that TNA championship. And Joe Hendry, honestly, I like this side of him, man. He really shows the serious side of him, and it actually works, and it's believable. And the fact that we're seeing two TNA superstars on NXT doing a promo says a lot, but also says something else to me, in my opinion, that we'll also talk about. Then we'll flash forward to good old Inamura going up against Jasper Troy. Look, I ain't gonna lie, this was actually a really good match, and I really enjoyed everything they did. Now, to be honest, I'm okay with Inamura beating Jasper Troy. I do like Jasper Troy, but what was interesting was after the match was my man, the young OG, man. Look, after Inamura got that dub, walked out, talked to Obafemi, my man, the young OG, Javon Evans, comes out and literally, I mean, hits his movement. Look, you can't be lying. Man, this man hit his cutter from the top and hit Jasper Troy. And I'm hoping we are going to see Javon Evans versus Jasper Troy at the Great American Bash, man, because these two men right here, especially the young OG, is gonna show out and show off like he does every time. Shout out to the young OG and the actual OG himself, Rob, the photographer, baby. Then we flash forward to the ending of NXT with Jordan Grace talking to JC Jane, and of course with good old Fatal Influence being with her, to the point where she says she's gonna beat JC Jane at Evolution, and she's the one that should be having an NXT championship. But after that, good old Fatal Influence, they start to beat the hell out of Jordan Grace. Things happen. Blake Monroe comes out, saves Jordan Grace, and now we're looking at a tag team match between these four next week on NXT, and this is the finish right here. Man, I ain't gonna lie, man. This was interesting. Few things I thought was a little questionable. Of course, I said, my thing with Ricky Saints, man. I thought that was pretty interesting. But I mean, honestly, my thing is with Inamura, man. I don't know what it is. Just don't I can't get behind Inamura. I don't know what it is, man. Like I like Inamura. I like his moveset. I like when he do that little like his little splash. That's dope. I don't know if it's the hair. I really don't know, man. He just doesn't get me riled up, and that's rare for me to say that about any wrestler. Um, I love what he does in the ring, and I feel like maybe over time he'll probably win me over, knowing how it always goes with wrestlers. But yeah, man. I mean, I'm not that too intrigued or excited to see Inamura versus Obafemi because I just feel like Obafemi is still gonna come out on top. Pause. Okay, because I mean, again, it's the ruler. Obafemi, man. Like, I mean, come on, stop playing with it. Um, Also another thing, man. My thoughts on this whole thing with Joe Hendry and Mike Santana being backstage on the segments. Now, I've said this before on TikTok panels. I'll say this again. Anytime I see anybody from TNA crossing over a lot to NXT, I already know sooner or later, whenever that TNA contract is going to expire, best believe you will see them signed to NXT. Okay, we've seen this with Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry, well, I mean, to be honest, we've seen this with Jordan Grace. There she was, TNA champion, did whatever she did over there, went to the Royal Rumble, made some appearances when they were first doing the crossover, lost the TNA championship. Now she's signed with NXT. Would not surprise me if we see that with Joe Hendry. If Joe Hendry is the one that wins that TNA championship back from Hollywood Trick, which I don't see it happening right now, maybe so. Um, I just don't. I would not be surprised if you see Joe Hendry in WWE. Again, we've seen him at WrestleMania. We've seen him at the Royal Rumble. We have seen everything that Joe Hendry has been doing the last few months. So it would not surprise me if we see him cross over from TNA to NXT to WWE because they're gonna want that pop. They're gonna want everything that Joe Hendry's got. Don't get me wrong, he's got aura. He's got it on him. He's got the whole entrance, the wave your hands from side to side with me. The whole da 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 da. Yeah, all that. So, I mean, I would not be surprised if Joe Hendry is going to be making that move to WWE soon. Same thing with Mike Santana, man. I mean, yeah, he's doing a lot of stuff backstage, but just that segment to me stuck out a lot. And so, yeah, I would not be surprised if these men jump from TNA and officially went to WWE. Now, I don't think that's always a problem, but that is my concern. A lot of times when I see people from TNA going to NXT a lot, because I'd hate that for TNA. I'd hate that because, you know, especially like a Joe Hendry when you built so much of a status and name for yourself, and you've done so much for TNA. Not to say that you've done everything, done all you can, and I ain't talking Donnie McClurkin, but when you've done everything you possibly can in TNA, at that point you might feel like you're hitting the ceiling. And it wouldn't surprise me if he's in WWE. But the thing that really concerns me and worries me is if he does go to WWE, how are we going to utilize him? Will he be an NXT champion? Will you at least put him on the mid card and make him a champion? Could you ever see him being a world champion? I would hope so. I think he's got it. And I fear that he's just going to be more of a pop act. And by pop act, I mean just for reactions, just for that, and not an actual top guy or at least a mid card guy that they can see him to be. Last thing, Izzy Dane. You got my respect in every way, shape, and form. Look, I love what Izzy Dane is doing with Tatum Paxley. And we got to give it up for Tatum Paxley. First of all, again, I'm gonna tell you right now, who would probably be that tag team from NXT to go to Evolution? Oh yeah, it's probably gonna be Izzy and Tatum. Honestly. I mean, because they're already kind of telling that story with them, and then the fact that Izzy Dane is going to be possibly a North American champion. I hope so. I hate to say it, and I hate to see that happen to Soul. But again, y'all have done absolutely nothing with Soul Ruka. Sean, this is the one thing where I'm like, yo, come on, Sean. You did so much for Lonnie. You did so much for Fallon. But when it came to Soul, we gave her one title defense, and then you kept having her with Zarya. In my opinion, Soul is better without Zarya. Why do we need to have her with Zarya? I mean, again, and we've said this before. If y'all telling the story with them, maybe having a feud and this and the third, okay, cool. But I just don't think you need to have them, especially with Soul sharing the spotlight as her being a double champion at that, because she got the Speed champion, and then she's got the North American Women's champion. But it's just like, come on, man. Not with her and Zarya. So I'm hoping, again, Izzy Dane takes that title. And you know what? If she takes it, I'm all for it. Because you know why? You got more stories to tell. And I can't see Izzy Dane just holding that title just for as long as she was, as Soul was holding and not doing nothing. I can see some women coming up against her. Maybe possibly a Jada Parker. Or maybe, who knows, maybe Zarya might even try to go for that championship. Or possibly maybe Lonnie might come back around. I would hope to God we would see Lash Legends go for that title. But hey, again, I'm not the man with a pen. But again, Sean, you cooked up. I'm not mad about what you did. I'm always going to tell you just a few things we need to work on. Okay. Heartbreak Prince, what are your thoughts, man? What you think?
I had 3 takeaways from NXT. I mean, the show itself was good. NXT generally, typically delivers. I don't really have too many weeks where I'm disappointed in NXT or just not liking the product that they put out. But this week, it's time for me to come to grips with the fact that the family is just no more.
Oh,
I had been having hope that maybe they was gonna have a roundabout way where they can fix this, but the Don has kind of just fallen from grace, and it's just evident each week. And then with Luca this week, punching the Don and punching Stacks, and just the way that segment ended, it's done. The family is done, and I don't know where they're gonna go from here, and I don't know what Luca's gonna do from here. So that's something I'll keep an eye on, but I'm starting to just come to grips that the Don is no more. My next one is about Lexis King, man. I don't know, what the deal is with Lexis King and why he's not viewed as more of a star in NXT than what he currently is. I feel like he's constantly, taking L's. And it's just, it's kind of sad because I actually like Lexis King. I think he's got talent, and when he generally is involved in a match, they're pretty good matches. Like he puts on really good matches, and it just doesn't seem like they ever really want to do anything with Lexis King or give him a push. He's usually the guy that's going to take the pin. And in this case, it's with Miles, and he's a good wrestler too. I think his star is definitely up there, especially people liking him to like a young Randy Orton. And so that's good for him, but I would like to see more done with Lexis King, and see him actually get some W's here in NXT. And then Javon Evans this week popping out and taking care of Jasper. Now, what I want to say about Jasper real quick is I don't know if I liked the booking of this of Jasper this week with him being against Emmett Moore, mostly because we just saw Jasper put on one banger of a match with Obafemi in his first debut match in NXT. And so I think there's some momentum there, and I think there's um, some like they have something there with Jasper. And then to put him in the match with Inamura, and then he takes another L, which we know at this point they're trying to push Inamura and they're trying to push him in his match with Oba. I don't know if you needed to use Jasper in that type of scenario there. And then they also look like they're turning around and they're going to put him in a match with the Young OG, which I'm always happy to see the Young OG in these matches because he just delivers. He's a phenomenal athlete, and great in ring talent. And so now that he's going against Jasper, what I like about this is the fact that that's another really good star in NXT that they're pairing Jasper with, and I would like to see how this match goes between him and the Young OG. It again, I feel like it speaks highly of Jasper, but I just didn't like the booking this week with Inamura because I would have liked it for him to kind of have kept some of that momentum, because like you said, when you talk about Inamura, I'm with you. I don't look at Inamura as like a huge star. Like he doesn't do it for me either. I don't know what it is. And of course, time will tell. Maybe he will, win us both over. But I'm just not there yet with Inamura, and I'm not excited about an Inamura versus Obafemi match. Um, but the young OG and Jasper, I'm looking forward to this. I like how they're kind of setting this up with young OG coming out and just delivering a devastating finisher to Jasper right there in the middle of the ring. And so it's good. It's good for them too, specifically. And then lastly, two more things actually. I do agree with what you're talking about when it comes to Joe Hendry. Although I do feel like when his time is up with TNA, I don't know if he's going to be on the NXT roster. I think Triple H likes him too much to where, and at this point, I think he's already kind of done his time in NXT in the sense that he's been featured on NXT for like the last year and a half now. If I've gotten that correct, might be a little bit longer, but so he's kind of done his circuit with the NXT. I feel like when it's time for him to actually sign, he would probably go to the main roster because you think about the fact that they've already featured this man in a prime spot at WrestleMania against Randy Orton. So to sign him and then put him in NXT, I just don't think that would make much sense. I would think that at this point, Triple H would say, we want Joe Hendry and we're going to put him on the main roster, especially after some of the things Joe Hendry talked about. I think it was on Chris Van Vliet's show where he talked about his relationship with Triple H and Triple H saying, that like he, how much he appreciates Joe and that he has things in mind for him. And so I can't see it being NXT. I do think Joe would deserve to be on the main roster. Now, what they would do with that on the main roster, it's completely different, a different thing because, WWE, they have a lot of talent and then they have a lot of, right now, to me, a lot of talent in the upper card, like in the heavyweight championship realm. And I don't think they have a lot going on in the intercontinental or the mid card realm or United States realm. So maybe Joe Hendry can fit into that slot and then work his way up to the championship realm. But then lastly, Ricky Saints, seeing him back on this week, it's funny because I'm looking at these two and I think to myself, like, one of these two needs to be in Seth Rollins, faction, vision, whatever it is, is going to be called. My pick, honestly, it's kind of hard because I think about Ricky Saints. I think he would be perfect in that role as well. The reason why I was going to say Ego is just because it is Ego and how he carries himself. It's like fits currently with like, whereas Ricky Saints have to do a change from kind of that face to I guess heel, I'm going to say heel because I still don't know, like. He's Seth Rollins is walking this path of being like an anti-hero, he's not full face, he's not really full heel to me. He's just kind of like in between, he can go either way. It just depends on what mission he's trying to accomplish. And I feel like right now Ricky Saints has been portrayed as the face. That's what he's been so far in NXT, so he would have to change. Ethan Page, on the other hand, he's already perfectly fit. Like his character, the way he's always been since he's been in NXT, currently perfectly fits in with like a Seth Rollins, a Braun Breaker, and Bronson Tsunami Reed. So I'm interested to see where this goes with these two because I want to know like which one is going to be this rumored fourth person in the clique. Hopefully it's Ethan Page because I do think he would fit, and so that would also mean he would probably have to lose the North American Championship back to Ricky Saints if that's going to be the case. But I'm keeping my eye on this story here because I see plans for these two. Hopefully, it'll come true for one of
Okay. Yeah, man. I mean, I think, yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think Ethan Page definitely fits more of that mold that I work with Seth. And it's like, and you're 100% right, man. It's like with Ricky Saints, I feel like it would be more of a harder, uh, not a harder role, but just a harder push because it's just like everybody loves Ricky Saints.
them. Yeah,
But then at the same time, if he is in that group, that might play a part to where people like Ricky, Ricky, Ricky. I like. I don't know. I can think of it's like if they had Ricky Saints in there, maybe if he was the one in the group, and I'm not saying he should be, maybe that could play a factor into maybe that faction breaking up, or maybe
yeah,
he, being the one to, defeat Seth Rollins and all of a sudden the third.
yeah,
But that's not like a group like that. I don't want to see break up. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like, so I would definitely want to see Ethan Page, and I think they kind of been showing it with him, even with the Vanity Project from Evolve. How he's been doing stuff with them and how he's kind of mentoring them in certain ways. So, yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's definitely gonna be Ethan Page. Definitely gonna be that next, hopefully the last person. But who knows? They might throw us a whole, curveball and swerve us with somebody else we're not even talking about or thinking about. So
yeah.
we'll have to wait and see, man. But yeah, I agree. Especially with and I meant to talk about that too, especially with the Don, man. I don't know what in the hell. I don't know what they got going on with the Don, man. This is just I don't know. We talked about the Don last year. Oh, the family was thriving. The family was up. I don't know how we go from this to now the Don is just taking L's, getting punched, getting like just this is I don't know, man. This isn't good for the family.
No,
I just
my man ain't won a
don't
match
know.
in like what 7, 8 months now. It's almost
I think so, yeah. Since he
not
lost
since
that,
he's lost the North American title.
yeah. And then it's like then you don't even win the Heritage Cup,
You don't win the
the
Heritage Cup.
stacks.
Yep.
And it's like you're losing matches and stuff that you had before, man. I
Yeah.
don't know. We got to do something with the Don at this point. I don't know if we're losing faith or momentum, but we gotta do something with the Don, man. I ain't liking this for him, man. I'm not liking that, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully, they'll do something more with him. But we talked about some of the great things that happened with NXT. Now it's time to talk about the best part of the end of the week, Friday Night SmackDown. Now, I'm not gonna lie. We kicked off SmackDown pretty crazy, pretty chaotic. Because what happened? That man, Solo was out here getting just getting dragged up out of the car by the man with the magic boot, the big blood, the Simone werewolf. Solo thought it was all fine and dandy, all cool. And Jacob came and started showing him what time it was to the point where he took Jeff Hobbs, threw him into the door, pulled Solo out of there, threw Tonga Loa into one of the trailers, man. I mean, this was insane. This was crazy. And it was a great way to get it fired up. Then we flash forward to Cody Rhodes. Now, Cody Rhodes talking about him being the king of the ring, how he's going to be facing John Cena. Randy Orton comes out. He said, the difference was I said I was going to pull the trigger. I wouldn't hesitate. I wouldn't do this, that, and the third. And then he said, yeah, I did hesitate, and you didn't, and I respect you for that. And I want you to beat John Cena's ass. And then, good old surprise, Drew McIntyre, the man that plays, that plays the miracle. Drew comes out, he says, what is up with this whole beta male energy coming from y'all? Oh, you hang up. No, you hang up. No, you hang up first. I ain't gonna lie, that was hilarious.
That was good. That was really good.
That was so good, man. And I mean, at this point, he's saying how, Randy's not the same legend. He thinks that the legend of Randy Orton has died because I was the one that stopped you from kicking people's heads and kicking legends, and now look at you. You're not anything. And then Randy Orton go ahead and just RKO's Drew McIntyre on the miss of this man coming back. And then of course Randy Orton walks out, looks at Cody, gives him a head nod, and keeps it pushing. Then we flash forward to Man, look, we already told y'all this was gonna happen. We told y'all this for a month and a half ago to 2 months ago. This is what they was doing, and this low key really grinded my gears. They had Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss going up against Meechin and B-Fab and the Secret Service. And honestly, this was still actually a really good match. The funny thing is, like we tell you all the time, the person that gets the most offense is the one that takes the L. Okay. And Meechin and B-Fab were the ones getting majority of the offense in this match. Now, B-Fab looked good. Meechin looked good. The hell, the Secret Service was doing great. Chelsea Green was doing her thing, even outside the ring. Okay. But at one point, Charlotte Flair gets on top of on the top rope, does this little heady tap on Alexa Bliss's head. The ref counts it as a tag. Then she pats her head again. It's tagged back to Alexa Bliss. She hits her moonsault, looks at Chelsea Green, gives her a big boot, and then Alexa Bliss hits her with the blissful move. At that point, it's Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair going to be one of the contenders at the tag team match for Evolution. And now Charlotte Flair's over here hugging Alexa Bliss, but before that, you were saying you didn't need the spotlight, this, that, and that. Yeah, you know what? Anyway, then we flash forward to, man, come on. First of all, Nick Aldis tells Drew McIntyre, look, you got a match with Randy Orton in the Saturday Night's main event. Then he goes and tells Jacob, look, you can't be sitting here just attacking people backstage. I understand a lot of things happen. I understand a lot of things happened and what was going on. He said, but what I'm going to do for you, I'm going to give you an opportunity to face Solo and Jeff Cobbs, and you need to find yourself a tag team partner. Who comes up? That man, Big Jim. Okay. And he said, look, he said, look like you need a tag team partner. He said, look, Jacob Fight says, if you just get in where you fit in, we're going to be all right. Big Jim said, yeet. So then it was just them two as a tag team. So let's see what happens with that in a little bit later. Then we flash forward to, man, come on, stop with this BS here. Look, I'm not going to lie. This I really did not care for right here. And the reason why is because I love Trish Stratus to death. I really love her more as a heel. But for some reason, when it comes to Tiffy Tom and Trish Stratus, I'm not a fan of Trish being a face anymore, man. Just have her be heel. Heel Trish. Anyway, Tiffy Tom comes out, says, what time is this? Tiffy Time. And then, Jade Cargill comes out and says, you're still trying to get yourself together when I beat one of the best Oscar. The crowd really wasn't feeling that line, I guess. And then at that point, Trish Stratus comes out, and then Tiffy Tom says she wants to face Trish Stratus at Evolution, and they need to see some Stratusfaction and all this, that, and the third. Trish Stratus says, well, my kids haven't seen me as a champion. They've seen me in the ring, but they haven't seen me have a championship run. So that's what it was with that. Then we flash forward to good old Andrade, okay, and Ray Phoenix beating Fraxium. Now, this was a banger of a match. Now, in my opinion, I think these two men right here tagging together is great. But at the same time, I mean, you got the Lucha Bros, and they're on separate shows. I'm going to just say all that. And Andrade, hey, man, the fact that you're being featured in matches, I'm glad to see this. But again, this was a banger of a match. Fraxium doing their thing. Andrade doing his thing. Of course, seeing my man Ray Phoenix run on the ropes, kicking with precision. Great match overall. Then we flash forward to the good old tag team situation going on in the back to where Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa are saying that they're trying to save the tag team division. And the reason why they didn't win because they didn't have Candice LeRae. Funny thing is they were sitting there calling them whipped. But then Nick Aldis tells them, every single man, one of you from each team will face the Wyatt Six later on. And if the Wyatt Six loses, they'll go. But if they win, then they stay and they compete for the tag titles. I mean, this was ridiculous. Then we flash forward to the actual part of the match where it was the Wyatt Six going up against Montez Ford. Oh my goodness. Johnny Gargano, Kit Saban, and Umberto. Now, look, I'm not going to lie. This was a bit of a. I'm not going to say it was disappointing because this was a banger of a match. Yes. But the fact that Kit Saban was sitting there trying to tag Johnny Gargano, he looks at, Eric Rowan, literally just drops down and let's just Kip Saban just take the whole hit, gets the whole face mush, and then choke slammed. And yeah, we're looking at the wide six, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Then we flash forward to Julia, man. I thought this was a great promo. I mean, she actually had some points where she was speaking English, and I said, damn, I mean, are you even Japanese at this point? But I mean, honestly, I love the promo that she cut. She's saying she's going to be the one to elevate this title, that nobody's going to be one to beat her, and that she's going to be taking this title to the next level. And I 100% agree, and I think it's going to be a fact. And I can't wait to see what Julia's doing. Then we flash forward to Jade and Trish. Now, Trish talking to Jade. Jade saying, "Look, I can't wait to see what you do. And if you win, it'll be me and you at SummerSlam." Trish says, "Well, I can't wait to see what happens. And, this will be, I'll be seeing you at SummerSlam." I ain't gonna lie, man. If that happens, I do not even know how to feel about that. But then what happens? My girl, Naomi, caution in the bank, and y'all finally listen to us. You gave her the caution tape on the briefcase to the point where she snuck attacked Jade. And man, I love to see. She said you should have proceeded with caution. With the girl laugh. Yeah, man, she's doing great stuff with this. So of course, Jade says she wants Naomi at Evolution, and I'm hoping now at this point and this time, Naomi is the one to get the dub over Jade because Jade did beat Naomi at WrestleMania. So Naomi, please get this dub. Then we flash forward to Solo. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, this was good. You know what I mean? Yeah. Look, this was good. Now he said that all these men, Tonga Loa, Hala Tonga, and of course he's gonna say JC, but we know Jeff Cobbs. These are his MFTs, and this is his family, and this is his new bloodline. And I think this is really good. Now the funny thing was he told Tonga Loa and Tala Tonga to stay in the back, and that him and JC have got, you know, J- Jacob and Jimmy. So I thought that was pretty interesting. How you really just got your ass whooped in the beginning of the show, all of y'all, and then all of a sudden everybody's all cool, calm, and collected, and everybody's all fine and dandy, and you gonna have you and JC facing Jimmy and Jacob. But we'll see what happens with that. Then we flash forward to Aleister Black and Damian Priest. Now, Damian tells Aleister Black, you got a match with Truth next week. And Aleister said, I find it interesting that you're putting, Truth in this situation, that he's going to be one that's going to lose. And now you're looking like the bad guy or the good. You're supposed to be the good guy. Damian Priest says, who said I'm a good guy? And who said Truth is going to be the one that's going to suffer? And honestly, this stare down was pretty intense. And I'm hoping maybe we see something a little bit more between these two. Because to be honest, I mean, I don't even think we've seen much of them interact in NXT back in the Black and Gold era. So hopefully we see a banger from these two, which I definitely believe we will. Then we flash forward to the main event. Okay, Jacob Fatu and Big Jim beating Solo and Jeff Cobbs. Now, in the midst of them winning, Jacobs he was about to really put Solo on a table and literally jump off from the top rope to the announce table like he did that time to Cody Rhodes back when he first debuted. But that didn't really happen. Why? Because Tala Tonga and Tonga Loa came out and attacked Jacob to the point where they actually all put Jacob through the table. And this is the finish right here. I'm not gonna lie. There was a few things that really bothered me with this show. Few things, and we're gonna talk about it. I had no problem with the Cody. I had no issues with the Cody, Randy, and Drew segment. I loved everything about that. What bothered me, okay, because we told y'all this was going to happen with Charlotte and Alexa Bliss. They have been planting those seeds for the longest ever about how to, oh, I'm not a tag team, this, that, and the third. You see what happened when they did at the women's, when they were trying to do the women's Queen of the Ring and all that interaction and stuff. Then all of a sudden, Alexa's trying to help Charlotte and all this, that, and the third. I literally I told y'all that tag team for SmackDown was going to be Charlotte and Alexa Bliss. Called that. I'm like, come on, man. I hate to see this going with B-Fab and Meechin. Don't get me wrong. I'm okay with, if the story makes sense, cool. But again, y'all had a bunch of tag teams that y'all released. So now we are forcing tag teams in what, a month, 2 months time? Criminal what y'all are doing with this. And then again, y'all are rushing some of these things, these storylines for Evolution. Why are we like, come on, man? Evolution could have been a whole better builder, but because we're sitting there trying to counter program with everything AEW is doing, this is what we're getting. Now, I'm not saying everything was terrible, but come on. Then you got Tiffy and Trish. Really? Come on, bro. Come on. All the other women we got. Don't get me wrong. I love Trish. I love Stratus Fash. I grew up seeing Trish Stratus. I seen the main event with her and Lita live when it happened with my sister and my mom. Monumental moment. But I mean, come on, man. We are literally just throwing some of this stuff together. I did not like that. I did not like that at all. I didn't like the fact that we got, you know, Tiffy and Trish. Like, come on. Yeah, I mean, granted, would have been better than seeing her and Nia Jax for the 300th time. Probably so. But if y'all even have Trish Stratus go over and beat Tiffy Time, what does that say in the faith that y'all got in your young talent? Man. And then my last, I got a couple more things, and I'm gonna let you go, Heartbreak Prince. Um, I feel like I'm just talking about tag teams at this point. I'm not gonna lie. I love the Wyatt Six. I love what they got with Andrade and Ray Phoenix. But why are some of these tag teams not on Raw? We have legitimately probably what 8, 9, 10 tag teams. You're putting Andrade and Ray Phoenix together. At this point, if that was what you was gonna do, then you could have had Penta and Ray Phoenix as the Lucha Bros doing greatness on Raw. You already got them involved with the Judgment Day a few times. You could have did something with that. Raw needs more tag teams. We just talked about this. We seen what the same 2, 3 tag teams getting the same titles. Come on. Yeah, at this point, I feel like SmackDown is almost oversaturated with the tag teams. You had your solid teams, right? You had Pretty Deadly, which we know one of our guys from Pretty Deadly is injured right now. Okay, cool, I get that. But you still had the Motor City Machine Guns. You still got DIY. You still got Garza and Umberto. You still got the Profits. That is 4 legitimate tag teams you can do with something. Now we throw the Wyatt Six in. Okay, what are we doing with this? I love the Wyatt Six. Don't get me wrong. I love everything about them. I love their aura. I think, what they have is good. I mean, a lot of times we always say, and I always say to myself, I wish Bray was still alive to keep this thing going. And who knows how much further this would have probably went when it came to if Bray was still here. And I'm not knocking them being in the tag team division, but you're putting them in the tag team division that already had story. You need to put them on Raw. Raw needs it. I just didn't. That was just a tag. When it came to the tag team division, that irked my soul. And then again, B-Fab and Meechin. What are we doing with these 2 women here? Like, come on. These are 2 women that are constantly doing stuff backstage, doing stuff, even interactions with the Prophets at one point. My man Angelo Dawgs is gonna leave Meechin hanging. Come on, Dawgs. You don't do that to Meechin. That's the wife of the Limitless One. Bask in his glory. I mean, just again, one big positive. Okay, the man with the magic boot, Jacob Fatu, going crazy in the middle, in the beginning of the segment, and I love the whole new thing. If you get in, well, you fit in. That's the one that's kind of getting over for me. I'm saying this around the house. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm be saying this to my wife. Hey, man, say whatever you want, but if you get in, well, you fit in. We gonna be all right. Sometimes I get the crazy look, but hey, it makes sense. We'll see what happens. What are your thoughts, man? What you think?
Uh, let me know how much longer that makes sense. No, no, I think you hit on a bunch of valid points. Same issues that I had this week with SmackDown. Like I feel like it started off really good, like with the whole attacking Solo and them, and in the vehicle. Drew McIntyre, his promo work phenomenal. We get an RKO in there. But where they started to fumble the ball for me was this whole Trish Stratus and Tiffy Time and Jade Cargill. I did not care for the setup of this match. I really don't. I thought this was lazy. I thought it was sloppy Joe work. For Trish Stratus to come out as the champion and say, like, well, if Io gets to pick who she wants to face, Io picked an actual contender, an actual competitor. She picked, Rhea Ripley, which we know her work and her quality of work. You pick Trish Stratus. Nothing against Trish Stratus, but she is not a full-time WWE wrestler. It's like Gunther coming out saying he wants to fight the best in the world, and he's going to pick Goldberg, and that's what you're going to get. Like, it makes no sense. Now, I understand this is Evolution, and you're trying to get like a lot of the women talent on Evolution, and you're trying to pay respect or pay homage to the women that got them to this point. I can respect that. I really do. But in this case here, where you're talking about your women's champion, this belt should have been defended against someone currently on the roster who you think would think has the possibility of actually winning the championship from Tiffy Time. Okay. And the problem I have with this is there's no way in the world that I buy Trish Stratus beating Tiffy Time for the championship and facing Jade Cargill at SummerSlam. Like, I don't. Like, she's not a full-time wrestler. So it just bothers me that they did this when, you could have gave that opportunity to anybody, like anybody else on the main roster or whatever, if you were going to do that. So that really bothered me again. And then the whole backstage segment where they tried to sell it between Jade and Trish. Well, if you, just remember, if you beat Tiffy Time, you're going to see me at SummerSlam. Get out of here. Like, I just get out. Get out. Like, I'm so annoyed. I was so annoyed with that. I'm like, I don't buy this. Like, I don't buy Goldberg beating Gunther. Like, Goldberg said in his promo, like, he was going to beat the hell out of like Gunther at. I'm like, I don't buy this. Like, you can say what you want. I'm not buying it. Same here. So I'm like, y'all messed up on this. What I did like though was this moment. I did like seeing Naomi with the caution tape briefcase. And you know what? Seeing Seth Rollins on Monday Night Raw, he came out with his custom briefcase and they mentioned it and talked about it. And I'm like, well, if he's got a custom briefcase, I cannot wait to see what happens this week on SmackDown, because she would have to have a custom briefcase too. Because Seth Rollins' briefcase was fire, and they finally showed it with the caution, the briefcase with the. It makes sense. This should have happened. Like, this should have happened weeks ago, honestly. But they got it right now, so that's fine. But this right here, like I said, that's the one thing that really like soured SmackDown for me, was the fact that the way they set this Evolution matchup. And at this point, I feel like they're just doing a rush job on this Evolution card that they have been hyping up for months now. And now all of a sudden they're just like, this is going to be Evolution. This is going to be, and it's not making sense. It's because there's no buildup for it. It's just like, we got to show, we got to have a counter program into AEW. So let's just throw some stuff, on this card, and let's see what sticks. Let's see what happens. Same thing with Saturday night's main event. We're just throwing big names out there at this point in time just to have some counter programming, when they could have just they could have really they had the opportunity and they had the time to really build both of these cards and to make them, to make them make sense, one, but better than what they are. And then two, the tag team thing. I agree. I do think there's just way too many tag teams on SmackDown, and Raw is suffering, and from the lack of tag teams on Raw. And so I do think when they do the shift, the shift, that's even if they do
Oh yeah, that
the
draft.
whole
Yeah,
draft and all that kind of stuff,
we'll
if
see.
they even have that. But if they do it, they do need to get a few more tag teams on Raw to kind of to really get that division going the way that it needs to be. But outside of those two big gripes, SmackDown itself, the show, the matches were really good. I didn't really have any problems with the actual matches that they had on there.
Yeah,
I know that Charlotte and Alexa Bliss, like I had wrapped my head around this, like we said weeks ago when we first saw Alexa Bliss and Charlotte get back together. And I think I said it feels like they're gonna have Charlotte come up on Alexa's through Alexa Bliss's like popularity. So pairing them together will kind of help heal Charlotte's image. And they kind of referenced that this week on SmackDown where she talked about, well, Charlotte, I don't know if you realize, but you haven't been in the spotlight for a while, and I figured I could help, or however she said it.
oh yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and I'm like, here you go. Like, but we saw this weeks ago, so I've already kind of wrapped my head around the fact that they were going to be a tag team. It just sucks for people like BFAB and
Ethan,
Michin,
man.
who I feel like Michin, I thought by now should have had a mid card title, because I really did think the work that she was doing in the matches that she was having with Chelsea Green was pretty good, and even before that, Michin had been doing really good work, because I believe she had a really good match with Nia Jax as well. And they just, they didn't seem to go that route with her, or view her in that way. And then they put her and BFAB together. I said, okay, well, this might be good. They can be a good tag team for the women's division, an actual tag team. But here again, in WWE fashion, we're just going to throw two of our bigger superstars that are singles competitors together and make them a tag team. And oh, by the way, they're just going to wreck house and go on to be next in line for the tag team titles. Meanwhile, women that you've actually already had paired, and actually already been working as a tag team have been stepped over again. And it's that just we're just gonna do this and we're gonna do this and we're just gonna see what happens, see what sticks. And like Mr. Xclusive said, like that is WWE at its finest. Just constantly just throwing stuff together and just seeing what sticks. And it's there's no vision for any of it. Like it doesn't make sense. You got a tag team, you released a bunch of tag teams some months back, and now you're forced to throw solo competitors together, and now you're telling me that they're a better tag team together than Michin and BFAB, who's been working together for months, or any other women's tag team that
Secret
the Secret
Harvest,
Harvest, that you have. Like, they've been working together for a while now. So like, it should have been better than what we got, but this is what we got, and it is what it is. I'm still happy for Charlotte. I'm still happy for Alexa Bliss, because I do like the ladies. Like,
yeah.
not that I don't want to see them succeed. It's just it's always at the cost or at the expense of other talent that they could be bringing up. Like a WWE could be bringing up a BFAB and a Michin. They could be bringing up the Secret Harvest, like giving us something new, that we haven't had or seen or whatever. Like, we've seen Charlotte with the tag team title. We've seen Alexa Bliss with the tag team title. So like, it is what it is. But,
Yeah.
Solo, again, to get to finish this off, he's been cooking, man. I Solo, I had to give my man a round of applause. I really do. He's come a good little ways from his time and as one of the tribal chiefs and enforcers. But I still love in the middle of the match he's doing solo. I'm sorry, Jacob Fatu's dance, like his shake and shimmy and all that. Yeah, in the middle of a match and all that stuff. But I felt like this week, I mean, seeing his family tree, I think he called it the MFTs or whatever is it?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
guess the
yeah.
new My Family Tree.
Yeah, that's
You
what he
know,
said. Yep.
yeah, I think that's gold. I think that's going to be good because we try to get away from this whole tribal chief thing. Like, look, that's Roman Reigns. Like, at this point in time, I just don't see any other person holding that mantle and being respected. Or let me correct that, being acknowledged as the tribal chief,
Mm.
holding up the one. We only acknowledge one tribal chief. And so I like the way he's kind of branching off and doing his own thing with the My Family Tree or whatever. I really do think this is good. But Jimmy, again, when I saw this happen, when I saw this guy step out and I said, Jacob, you taking another L. They send Jimmy out every week. When you talk about get in where you fit in, this man is fitting in beat down city every week. Jimmy ain't been the same since Gunther brutally beat him in the ring, and ever since he runs out and he just gets beat down. So I'm gonna need Jacob to get a better partner. He needs to go talk to Jay. He needs to go talk to some other Tonga, somebody.
He needs Tama Tonga. That's what we
Tama
need.
Tonga, somebody, because Jimmy, my man, he's 0-4 right now. And so but the two of them, or the match that Solo and Jacob put on, great. They have great chemistry. Good work there. No issues there. Love seeing the My Family Tree, the MFTs come out and wreck shop and just keep Solo looking strong as the United States champion. And then lastly, I'm a huge Aleister Black fan. So I love how they got this thing going right now between Damian and Aleister Black, because I feel like this story is going to be leading to a match, and it's the next big thing between Aleister, or the next big thing for Damian Priest is going to be Aleister Black. We're going to get a match, I'm sure, with Ron Killings and Aleister Black, next week or whatever. But I do like where they're going with this. I do want to see these two kind of bump heads or butt heads or whatever, because we didn't get to see that much in NXT. I don't think their paths crossed at all in NXT. And so, I'm a huge fan of Aleister Black. I like the fact that he's going against Damian, because I think Damian has really grown. And I think this could be a really good match here that they're setting up. But the star of the night for me, definitely is Naomi and
yes, sir.
Hands down. Yeah. They did.
Yeah, man.
So it tells you, they listening.
They are. I'm glad. Like you said, man, I'm glad. They should have did that weeks ago.
Yeah.
But hey, the money gonna go up now for them briefcases. So
yeah.
I'm gonna have to get me one of those.
Yeah.
Just walking around. I'm just
I got caution in the bank.
Caution in the bank.
It's like it's funny because
yeah, when you get in, when you fit in. I don't know what it is. But I said, you know what, Jacob? I like this.
Yeah.
New shirt. Y'all need to make it.
And I'm sorry. How did I forget to pay some respects to my girl, the beautiful madness, Julia?
Yes.
I'm so happy for her. I meant to say, though, I was a little disappointed in Selena Vega's run, the way they kind of did with Selena Vega. And I think they were just too late giving Selena Vega a run with the title. Like, Selena Vega was doing great work like 2 or 3 years ago. Like, she was, pretty good, women's wrestler. And I was thinking then, like, they could really do something with Selena. They gave her like a run as like a mid-card champion or whatever. And they came around to her, they finally passed the rock to her, and it didn't work. The crowd, I think a lot of it is probably because of the botch that she had with the 619.
Chelsea Green.
Yeah, with Chelsea Green. But I just feel like the crowd was always dead when it came to her coming out. Like, it's like they did not connect with her when it came to her being the champion. But they changed the title already. It did go to somebody that I do appreciate, that I'm a super fan of. I've been saying it for a while. I know a lot of people like La Primera, but the beautiful madness was my girl. And so I love the fact that Julia has this title. I do believe if they do it right, this could be great stuff for WWE and the women's division in the mid-card title realm, in the sense that if they could let Julia have a run, just, have this title for a while, it does not need to change hands within the next 6 to 7, 8 months. Let her have a run. And maybe at Mania we can look at something or whatever, but even if it goes past that, let her have a run, because I think that's the stuff that makes these titles worth it, make them feel prestigious, is the fact that you can start saying this person has held the title for this long, has defended the title this many times, has beaten this many opponents that have challenged her, her for this, whatever. And I think that's also, I keep saying it, made Roman Reigns run feels, just feels special, and it is special. Was the fact that he held those titles, for what, 1,000 and some odd days. It was like, who is left on the roster that can beat him for the title, and I think they can do a good little run like that here with Julie.
Yeah, yeah, man. I'm hoping like. See, and I agree with you with Zelina Vega, man. I think there was a lot of things that was missed. Like I think the first one of the promos that she did with Liv and Dom, and she was saying the sloppy second thing.
Yeah.
I think right there was that she had the crowd right there. Um, and then again, like I've always said this, and we've been saying this before, her music. I think the
Yeah.
music is what really kind of hurt her because it was just like her entrance music sounded too close to the SmackDown
Mhm.
theme song.
Yeah.
So it's just like, oh, again, I couldn't tell the difference if it was SmackDown or Zelina. But even when she
Yeah.
comes out, again, no pop. Even like last week when they was in Saudi, no pop, no reaction. Like she's just out there walking, and I legit feel bad for Zelina because she can really go on the mic and she
Yeah.
can go on the ring.
Yeah.
It's very small things they did with her. They didn't really give her much. And then
Yeah.
again, we have a lot of women that's on that roster, and we're not putting them in the mid card situation and giving them more
Mhm.
of an opportunity. But yeah, I'm hoping like with Julia, we'll see something different. I'm hoping we see a lot of more other women step up.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to see, because again, they have a lot of women on that roster. Now, I wouldn't have been mad if, Zelina went up against, an Alexa Bliss or hell, even a
Yeah.
Charlotte Flair, or, just something to give her more relevancy, just like how they're
Yeah.
doing with the women's Intercontinental Champion with Bailey and Becky and all them. Now I'm not saying that they need those particular ones, but
Yeah.
that helps make that title more interesting, it gives more story. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping for Julia we see something more with that.
And
Because
real quick, and
yeah,
also a question, like, and how much of it do you think it was the fact that Selena Vega beat Chelsea Green, and Chelsea Green is like a darling to everybody? Like, like the fans really love Chelsea Green. Like, do you think that also impacted Zelina, the fact that she was the one to actually beat Chelsea for the title?
I think so, man. I think, and see, my thing is, I don't think people would have been upset if Meechin was the one that did it,
Yeah.
because we've seen how much of a story that Meechin was doing, and
Yeah.
we've seen how much momentum she was getting, whether she was on NXT with Jada
Yeah.
Parker or doing other stuff, and they already had so much interaction already together. So it would have made sense if it was Meechin to beat her. But I think what it is too is that Chelsea's Green got that whole the secret Hervis. She's got everything, the Pledge of Elite, all
Yeah.
that she's got was literally made for that U.S. title. So I
Title.
think what it was, in everybody's mind, we were thinking, oh, this is probably going to be good, maybe a year run because of what
Mm-hmm.
she's doing. And I felt like it should have stayed on Chelsea. Because
Yeah.
imagine how many stories or people you could have elevated or built up,
Yeah.
or just put in that spotlight, with that mid card title, knowing that,
Yeah.
Chelsea Green is a heel, but she's getting a face reaction. Okay, cool. But she
Yeah.
has a group, a faction
Yeah.
that can, stop anybody from, actually her losing that title. So I thought to everybody else's mind, oh, this makes sense. And again, she Canadian? You got a Canadian woman
Canadian.
as a United States champion, and it makes
Yeah.
100% sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I
Yeah.
definitely agree. I think that was one of the things that I
Yeah,
don't
and
think people was mad.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think they pulled the plug on Chelsea too fast. Because I mean, I'm not saying she didn't have the title for a while, because I think she had the title for like four months or so maybe a little
Yeah, I
longer than
think
that.
so.
She had it for a good while, but it's all the work that she was doing while she had the title that made it like good. Like, as far as, like you said, starting the secret Hervis, the pledge to Chelsea Green, like it was great, and that's stuff that you like to see wrestlers do when they center like their, I don't say theme, but when they center things around the title. So like United States, a US championship in this case, you got the secret Hervis, and the work that they were doing to kind of protect her. And Chelsea was always like, she always had like great comedic timing and effect, like being on the mic and then also in the ring, and how like she performs. It just made it like it made it gold that to have her as the U.S. champion, and it fit her so well. And they probably could have ran with that story for a good amount of time, which really would have worked because I think I think the fans were really digging like what Chelsea was doing as the U.S. champion.
Yeah, man. I thought she had really great work. I agree with you again, man. Like she really had something with that title. Like it was a not even just a flair, but it was more of a like you could tell like everything about the title reign that she was doing, the backstage segments, even the vignettes she had when she was going up to the podium and say, I was like, yeah, this
Yes.
is good. Like
Yeah.
I like she really took it to that level
Yeah.
of yeah, I'm the president. And then she was doing the whole I think she was even saying like the whole make America great again,
Great.
just like
Yes.
everything with I said, man, this is
Yeah.
this is a
She was.
good like really good, funny references, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I think they did
Yeah.
pull it a little too early.
The tariffs on mediocrity
Yeah,
statement.
yes,
Yeah.
like and yeah, and that was
I'm
that was
putting
what was good.
tariffs
She
on
was taking
mediocrity.
modern day stuff, the stuff that
Yep.
was going on currently,
Yeah.
and making it into what she was talking about. And I was like, man, this is good
Yeah.
stuff.
She was killing it. She really was.
Really was, man. But as always, like I tell y'all all the time, please make sure y'all follow all of our social medias. Facebook, we on that. X, we on that. Instagram, we on that. TikTok, we on that as well. We appreciate the love and the support y'all been giving us, man, because honestly, it's been great. It's been great, and we want to just keep seeing those numbers coming up, going up, because again, we're gonna keep giving y'all that content the exclusive way. Come on, man. Y'all know this. Y'all know this. Oh man. But we talked about some of the great things happening with Monday Night Raw, of course, with Seth Rollins, LA Knight. We talked about the great things that happened with NXT, with the young OG. And we had to talk about some of the great things that happened on SmackDown, with the man with the magic boot. And of course, proceeding with caution with Naomi. So as always, we are the exclusive Knights, and we ensure that we are the best there is, the
The
best
best
there
there
was,
was
and the
and the
best that
best there
ever
ever
will
will be.
be, and to ensure that your Knights will
Will
never
never
be the
be
same.
the same.
Y'all be good. Y'all know what
That
I
Gable
mean?
is not
Yeah.
El Grande Americano, people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. Peace.